Imagine you wake up tomorrow and someone hands you $1,000 in cash. No strings attached, just a clean, crisp stack of bills sitting on your kitchen table. Now here's the question. What do you feel when you picture that money? Most people feel a little rush, a tiny hit of excitement. Maybe you're already mentally spending it. New shoes, a weekend trip, paying off that one annoying credit card bill that's been staring at you for 3 months. That feeling? That's real. And your brain is not making it up. But here's what is an illusion. The way your brain values that $1,000, the story it tells you about what that money is worth, what it can do, and what losing it would feel like, that entire mental picture is almost completely wrong. And it's not just wrong sometimes, it's wrong every single day. Every time you check your bank account, every time you buy something, every time you decide to save or not save, your brain has been running a broken money calculator since the day you were born. And today, we are going to look under the hood and figure out exactly why. Here's something that sounds strange at first. Two people can have the exact same $1,000 in their hands, same bills, same amount, and feel completely different emotions about it. One person feels rich, one person feels stressed. One person immediately saves it, the other spends it before the week is over. Same money, completely different outcomes. How is that possible? Most of us grow up believing that money is just math. You have it or you don't, you spend it or you save it. Numbers go up, numbers go down. Simple. But money psychologists, researchers who study the human behavior and money, have spent decades proving that this is one of the most expensive myths we carry around. Money is not math. Money is emotion. And the brain doesn't process $1,000 gain the same way it processes $1,000 loss. It doesn't value money you earned the same way it values money you found. And it absolutely does not think about $10 the same way it thinks about $1,000, even when the math says it should. This is the illusion. And it's costing the average person thousands of dollars a year without them ever noticing. Let's start with the most important idea. It has a name that sounds complicated but is actually very simple once you see it. It's called mental accounting. Here's what it means. Your brain doesn't have one big wallet where all your money lives together, treated equally. Instead, it creates invisible little buckets. One bucket for fun money, one bucket for serious money, one bucket for money I already mentally spent, one bucket for money I feel guilty about. And the money in each bucket feels completely different, even though every dollar is worth exactly the same amount. Let's use a real example. Say you get a $1,000 tax refund. Studies show that people spend tax refunds much more freely than they spend money from their paycheck. They buy things they'd never buy with their regular salary. They treat it like bonus money, like it's somehow extra or free or doesn't count the same way. But wait, is a $1,000 tax refund actually different from $1,000 you earned at work? Mathematically, zero difference. That refund is literally your money that the government was holding for you. You worked for it. It's identical to your paycheck in every financial sense. But your brain doesn't see it that way. It got filed into the fun money bucket the moment it landed, and so it gets spent like fun money. That's mental accounting at work, and it's the first layer of the illusion. Now let's go deeper. There's a second psychological force that makes this even more powerful. Researchers call it loss aversion. And this one will probably make you uncomfortable because it describes something almost all of us do. Here's the basic idea. Losing $1,000 feels almost twice as painful as gaining $1,000 feels good. Let that sit for a second. The pain of losing $1,000 is psychologically twice as strong as the joy of gaining $1,000. This was proven by two of the most famous researchers in behavioral economics, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and it has been replicated in study after study across different countries and cultures. This creates a weird kind of paralysis in your financial life. You avoid selling an investment that's losing money because actually selling it makes the loss feel real. So you hold on, hoping it comes back, even when the smart move is to cut and move on. You stick with a bad subscription you never use because canceling it feels like admitting you wasted money. So you keep paying, month after month, to avoid the discomfort of accepting a past mistake. You refuse to take a reasonable financial risk, starting a small side income, investing a small amount, because the imagined pain of losing overshadows the very real potential of gaining. In every one of these situations, your brain is lying to you about the value of that $1,000. And you're making worse decisions because of it. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just about math errors. This is about identity. Your relationship with money, how you feel when you have it, how you feel when you lose it, what you believe you deserve, what you're afraid to ask for, all of that was formed before you were old enough to have a job. Think about the money conversations you heard as a kid, the phrases that floated around your house. Things like, "We can't afford that," or "money doesn't grow on trees," or "rich people are just lucky," or "save everything, you never know." None of those phrases were lessons in personal finance. They were emotional programming, and they shaped the invisible rules your brain now runs on every single day. Here's the most powerful example of this. Research shows that people who grew up in households where money was scarce develop something called a scarcity mindset. And one of the fascinating effects of a scarcity mindset is that it actually impairs decision making. A study by Harvard economist Senthil Mullanathan found that when people are mentally preoccupied with financial stress, when their brain is constantly thinking about not having enough, their cognitive capacity drops significantly. Their IQ scores in practical tests dropped by the equivalent of losing a full night's sleep. Think about that. Financial scarcity doesn't just hurt your bank account. It reduces your ability to think clearly about how to fix it. The illusion runs deep. And here's the kicker. It works in the other direction too. People who grew up with a comfortable relationship with money often carry an abundance mindset, the quiet, almost subconscious belief that money is available, that opportunities exist, and that financial mistakes are recoverable. This belief alone changes the risks they take, the opportunities they pursue, and ultimately the wealth they build over a lifetime. Same $1,000, completely different outcomes, based entirely on the story your brain tells about it.
So what do you actually do with all of this? First, notice your money buckets. The next time you receive money, any money, whether it's a paycheck, a refund, a birthday gift, a bonus, ask yourself, which bucket did my brain just file this in, and why? If you find yourself treating some money as real and other money as bonus, that's mental accounting at work. Try to override it. Put the money somewhere intentional before your brain decides how to spend it. Second, reframe losses as information, not identity. When you lose money, make a bad financial decision, or watch an investment go down, your brain will try to make you feel like a failure. Resist that. Separate the outcome from your worth as a person. Every financially successful person you've ever admired has made expensive mistakes. The difference isn't that they avoided losses, it's that they didn't let loss aversion freeze them into doing nothing. Third, audit your money beliefs, not just your money. At least once, sit with a piece of paper and write down every belief you have about money. Not the practical stuff, the emotional stuff. What does money mean to you? What are you afraid of? What do you feel you deserve? Some of those beliefs will be working for you. Some will be quietly working against you, and you can't change what you haven't seen. And finally, understand that 1,000 rupees is always worth exactly 1,000 rupees. No more, no less. Whether you've earned it, found it, or received it. Whether you're losing it or gaining it. Whether it came from a tax refund or a paycheck. The math is constant. The only thing that changes is the story your brain attaches to it. And you have the power to rewrite that story. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. The most expensive financial mistakes most people make aren't caused by not knowing enough math. They are caused by not knowing enough about themselves. The 1,000 rupee illusion isn't a trick that affects people who are bad with money. It affects economists, it affects investors, it affects people who have studied personal finance their entire careers. Because it's not a knowledge problem, it's a human problem. It's baked into the way our brains evolved, built for survival in a world where every resource was precious, and losing what you had could mean death. Your brain is ancient, but your financial life is modern. And bridging that gap, learning to see the illusion for what it is, might be the single most valuable financial skill you ever develop. Because when you understand how your mind tricks you about money, you stop being a passenger in your own financial life. You start making decisions from clarity instead of fear, from intention instead of habit, from a real understanding of value instead of a feeling. And that shift, that quiet internal shift, is worth a lot more than 1,000 rupees.